If I disappear after today, at least you'll know why. That thought crossed my mind as I walked up the steps to the stage in the Civic Center Auditorium in downtown Chicago. My hands were shaking, but my feet kept moving. The room was full of people. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling. People were dressed up. A small orchestra waited, but every eye was on me. I did not look like I belonged there. My black dress was wrinkled. There was a yellow bruise on my cheek where a hand had grabbed me too hard. My hair was pulled back in a hurry. My shoes were still damp from the cold November rain. On the front row sat the guest of honor, Evelyn Sterling. Gray hair set in a perfect style, light blue suit, calm, proud face. On the paper program, it said, Deputy Director of the Chicago Metropolitan Housing Bureau. If only they knew. Near the aisle sat her son, Julian Sterling. His suit was dark and expensive. His tie was straight. Over his right temple I could see a white bandage. I knew what was under it, a deep bruise from a heavy glass water carafe. He saw me the second I stepped into the light. The warm smile I used to love was gone. His eyes were hard and cold now. He did not look like a loving husband. He looked like a man who had lost control of his favorite game, and I was the piece on the board he wanted to crush. 2 big security guards in dark jackets left their place by the wall and moved toward me. They did not run, but they walked fast, the way men walk when they are sure they can stop someone smaller than them. One lifted his hand, as if to say, "That's enough, ma'am. Turn around." I heard someone whisper, "Who is she?" Another voice said, "She doesn't look okay." My throat was dry. My heart was beating so loud I felt it in my ears. I knew that if they reached me and dragged me away before I spoke, everything would be over. The truth would stay hidden. Evelyn and Julian would keep smiling for cameras. So I took one more step. I did something rude in a room like that. I raised my voice over the mayor's. "Excuse me," I said. "My name is Maya Brooks." That was the moment everything stopped. We will come back to that stage. We will come back to that microphone and to those guards. But first, I want to take you back. I want to show you how an ordinary woman like me can sit in a small flower shop on the south side of Chicago, minding her own business, and still end up married to a man who plans to take everything she has. I want to show you how a powerful mother-in-law can hide behind her job and her good name while she signs papers that erase people from their own lives. And while you listen, maybe you will think about your own papers, your own trust, your own name. Before we go back in time, let me ask you something simple. If stories like this speak to you, if you are over 45, maybe retired, maybe sitting with a cup of tea, and you like to listen to real lifestyle stories about marriage, betrayal, stolen homes, and people fighting back, I would be thankful if you subscribe to this channel and leave a like. It helps more people our age find these stories. All right, let's go back. It was just 2 weeks before that day in the Civic Center. The air in Chicago was already cold. The trees in Grant Park were turning red and gold. From the tall windows of the Lakeview Room, a restaurant high above the river, you could see the city lights and the boats moving slowly along the dark water. On that evening, I was not a woman fighting for my life. I was just a new bride, and I thought I was the luckiest woman in Chicago. My name was still the same, Maya Brooks, 36 years old, black woman, owner of a flower shop in Bronzeville called Maya's Flowers. I had lost both of my parents to illness 2 years before. They left me their condo in an old brick building near the lake. I took care of that place like it was alive. I painted the walls myself. I fixed the cracked cabinet doors. I filled it with plants and light. It was my safe place. For a long time, it was just me and the flowers. Then Julian walked into my shop. He said he needed a bouquet for his mother. He didn't pick roses. He asked, "What do you like?" I said I love daisies. Simple, bright, honest daisies. The next time he came in, he brought me a bouquet of them. "I thought the florist should get flowers too," he said. He listened when I talked about my parents. He asked about my day. He remembered the names of my regular customers. He told me he worked with property, helped people protect their assets, and that his mother, Evelyn, worked for the city. Our romance grew fast. Too fast, maybe, but at the time it felt normal. We were both adults. No one was playing games, I thought. When he asked me to marry him in front of the flower shop, with a small ring and shaking hands, I cried and said yes. We had a small courthouse wedding. No big dress, no long aisle. Just a simple ceremony, a photo, and a kiss. We can save for a better future this way, he said. A condo of our own, a real family home. I agreed. It seemed wise. He spent some nights at my condo and some at his mother's place while we sorted the papers. And now, 2 weeks later, we sat across from each other in the Lakeview room, with soft jazz and a candle between us. "Why are you smiling like that?" Julian asked. I did not even realize I was smiling. "I'm just happy," I said. "I keep thinking how lucky I am. If I had known then what I know now, I might have smiled a little less. But on that night, at that table, in that light, I still believed my story was a love story." Maya still had her fork in her hand when she felt it. Someone was watching her. The Lakeview room was bright and busy that Friday night in Chicago. Soft jazz played. Waiters moved between white tablecloths. Couples and older friends laughed in low voices. Glasses clinked. It all looked like a perfect scene. But one woman did not look happy at all. At the next small table sat an older woman, alone. Her coat hung on the back of her chair. Her purse sat in her lap. A cup of tea cooled in front of her. She was staring at Maya. Her dark face was lined. Her hands shook as she stirred her tea. Her eyes were sharp and full of worry. For a moment, Maya only frowned back. Then she knew. She had seen this woman many times at her flower shop in Bronzeville. The woman always bought orange Gerbera daisies, never argued about price, always paid in cash, always called Maya baby, and wished her a blessed day. Her name was Loretta Mills. Tonight, Loretta did not look peaceful. She looked like someone who had seen danger and could not sit still. Maya gave her a small, polite smile. Loretta did not smile. Her eyes slid toward the hallway where Julian had gone to take a phone call. She watched that space for a second. Then she pushed her chair back and stood up. Maya thought she was going to the restroom. She wasn't. Loretta walked straight to Maya's table. Up close, Maya smelled old wool and a faint mix of herbs, like strong tea. Loretta put one hand on the table and leaned close so only Maya could hear. "Baby," she whispered. "Don't talk. Just listen." Maya's heart sped up. "Mom, are you okay?" "No," Loretta said. "And if you stay with that man, you won't be either." She reached into her purse and pulled out a thick roll of money held with a rubber band. Without asking, she grabbed Maya's hand and pressed the cash into it. The money felt heavy and hot. Maya tried to pull away. "I can't take this." "You can, and you will," Loretta said. "Use it to call a cab. Go out through the restroom. There's a side door to the alley. I've seen it. You are not going to sit here and wait for your husband to come back." Maya stared at her. "You don't even know him." "Julian Sterling," Loretta said at once. 40, property man, nice suits, a little gray at the temples, talks about protecting assets, smiles like Sunday morning. And his mama, Evelyn, works at the housing bureau downtown, in that big gray building with the flags. She signs papers that decide who keeps a home. Maya's chest tightened. "How do you know their names?" she asked. Loretta's eyes filled, but her voice stayed firm. "My daughter married him," she said. Her name was Aaliyah. She had a tiny condo near the lake. It was all she owned. He was sweet, brought her coffee, fixed things, brought his mother to visit. Then he came with papers. "Just boring stuff," he said. "Bills, mortgage, it'll help you." She signed. Loretta swallowed. A month later they went out on a boat. "A storm came," he said. "He tried to save her," he said. "The police called it an accident. We buried her." 3 weeks later, he sold her condo. The sounds of the restaurant faded for Maya. The music and voices turned into a dull hum. All she heard was Loretta's quiet, shaking voice. "I started asking questions," Loretta went on. "I found other names, other accidents and overdoses and vanishings. Every time, a home changed hands. Every time, someone from his mother's office signed off. Baby, this is a pattern. You are not the first. You are the next." Maya shook her head, but her eyes burned. "Has been good to me," she whispered. "He helped me after my parents died. He fixed my cabinets. He brought me flowers. He calls me his wife." Loretta's fingers tightened around Maya's hand. He calls you number 8 when he writes you down, she said. Listen, right now, you still have your money, your keys, your shop, your name. That won't last long. Use them while they're still yours. I don't even know where to go, Maya said. Home? No, Loretta said sharply. He knows where you live. His mother has already touched those papers. You go to your shop. Maya's Flowers in Bronzeville. You go there tonight. You think from there. But you do it alive. She let go of Maya's hand. The money stayed. Loretta gave her one last look, then walked away toward the front door. She moved slowly, but did not look back. Maya sat still. This is crazy, she told herself. This is grief. This is fear. She's mixing things up. Julian would never, her thought broke off. 2 big men in cheap leather jackets had just walked into the restaurant. They did not look like people who enjoyed jazz and tiny desserts. They did not look at the menu. They scanned the room. One of them stopped on her face. He nudged the other. A cold line of fear slid down Maya's spine. She stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. She shoved the roll of cash into her purse. "I'll be right back," she muttered to no one, and hurried toward the hallway. The music and talk grew softer behind her. She pushed open the door to the women's restroom and stepped in. It was empty. White tiles, bright lights, a big mirror. She locked the door and leaned against it. Her hands shook. Her heart was beating too hard. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, just move." She pulled out her phone and opened her ride app. She typed in the restaurant as the pickup point and her shop's address as the drop-off, not the condo. The app said, "Driver, arriving in 3 minutes." She climbed up on the counter to look through the small frosted window near the ceiling. Outside, she saw a brick wall and a slice of dark sky. Thick metal bars crossed the glass. No escape that way. She jumped down. Her breath came fast. Somewhere beyond the door, the restaurant still hummed like nothing was wrong. Somewhere, Julian was walking back to the table and seeing her empty chair. Her phone buzzed. "Your driver is near," the screen said. Maya reached for the lock. It didn't turn. She tried again. It felt stiff, like someone had turned a key from the other side. "Maya?" Julian's voice came through the door, smooth and calm. "Honey, are you okay? You ran off so fast. Open the door, please." Another voice joined his. "Carlton Hayes, the manager. Mrs. Sterling," he said. The new name felt like a chain. "If you unlock the door, we can talk this out. The other guests are worried. They had locked her in." Loretta's words hit her again. "You are the next." Maya stepped back. Her eyes landed on a red box on the wall near the door. Fire alarm. Her heart slammed in her chest. Hitting it would cause a scene. The old Maya would have tried to be polite. The old Maya would have apologized and opened the door. The woman who had just seen 2 strangers watching her table did something else. She grabbed her purse, swung the heavy metal buckle against the thin glass cover, and smashed it on the second hit. Then she pressed the red button. The screaming siren hit her ears like a wave. Red lights flashed. Outside, people shouted. Chairs scraped. Someone yelled, "Fire! It's fine!" Julian's voice rose over the noise. "It's just my wife. She gets migraines. Please stay calm." No one wanted to stay calm. Maya heard running footsteps and the click of the lock. The second it moved, she yanked the door open from the inside. Carlton jumped back. She slid past him and ran down the hallway. The Lakeview room was a mess now. People grabbed coats and bags. Napkins and glasses lay on the floor. A faint smell of smoke drifted in from the kitchen. The 2 men in leather jackets stood at the edge of the room, heads turning. Julian stood near the center, searching for her. For 1 second, their eyes met. There was no love on his face now. No worry, only cold anger. Maya turned away. She pushed into the crowd and let it carry her toward the glass doors. Someone bumped her shoulder. A woman snapped at her. A glass broke. She didn't stop. Cold November air slapped her face as she burst outside. The alarm still screamed behind her. Far away, real fire truck sirens began to wail. She did not look back. Her phone buzzed. "Your driver has arrived," the app said. A white sedan waited at the curb. The driver, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, rolled down his window. "You Maya?" he asked. "Yes," she said, voice small. "Bronzeville. Maya's Flowers." Please just drive." He nodded and pulled away from the hotel. City lights slid past the window. Maya sat in the back seat, clutching her purse. The money Loretta had given her felt like a brick. Maybe Loretta is wrong, she thought. Maybe this is all in my head. Maybe Julian really loves me. Then she remembered his eyes in the middle of the fire alarm. By the time the car stopped in front of her shop, she already knew the answer. She paid the driver with part of the cash and unlocked the door of Maya's flowers. The shop was dark and quiet. Inside, it smelled like soil and stems. She locked the door behind her and went straight to the small back room. Her old laptop sat on the desk. She opened it and logged into her bank account. Relief washed over her for a moment. The balance was there. Every dollar she had saved over years of work. She clicked transfer. She entered the number of an old card, typed in the full amount, entered the code from her phone, and pressed confirm. A small wheel spun on the screen. Then a red message popped up. Transaction denied. Your accounts are temporarily frozen due to a report of suspicious activity filed by your lawful husband, Julian Sterling. Maya stared at the words until they blurred. She had escaped the restaurant, but he had already put his hands on her life. Maya sat frozen in the back room of her flower shop. The laptop screen glowed in the dark, showing one short, cruel message. Transaction denied, accounts frozen. Report filed by your lawful husband, Julian Sterling. Her fingers shook on the trackpad. While she had been sitting in the fancy Lakeview room, smiling at candles and music, Julian had already called the bank. He had used the word husband like a key, and the system had believed him more than it believed her. He had cut her off from her own money. Her first clear thought was simple. I have to get home. Home, she still believed, was safe. The small condo her parents left her, on the third floor of an old brick building near Lake Michigan. It was the one place that had always been hers. Maybe she could fix the bank mess tomorrow. Tonight, she just needed 4 walls and a door that still belonged to her. She closed the laptop and dropped it into her bag. The shop smelled like damp earth and roses, but the scent no longer calmed her. She turned off the lights, locked the glass door, and stepped out into the cold Chicago night. The streets in Bronzeville were almost empty. A bus turned the corner with a low rumble. Maya pulled her coat tighter and walked to the bus stop. She did not want to call another car and watch her name and location pop up on a stranger's phone again. The bus came, nearly silent on the inside. Only an older woman and a man in a work jacket sat near the front. Maya took a seat by the window and hugged her bag. Neon signs and traffic lights slid past. A corner store with its metal gate pulled down. A gas station where her dad used to buy scratch-off tickets and laugh when he lost. Life outside the window looked normal. Only her life had changed. What if Loretta was wrong, Maya thought. What if Julian is just panicking and doing everything in the worst way? What if this is all one big mistake? Then another thought pushed in, calm and cold. If someone really wants to protect you, they don't work behind your back. The bus reached her stop. Maya stepped down and felt the colder air by the water. Her building stood at the end of the block, the same as always, tired brick and peeling paint. The front steps were worn smooth by years of feet. Most windows were dark. A TV flickered blue behind one curtain. Somewhere, a dog barked once and went quiet. Maya pushed open the lobby door and climbed the stairs. The building smelled like old paint, cooking, and dust. On the second floor, Miss Carter's door was closed. On the third, Mr. Price's cane leaned in its usual spot by his door. Everything looked normal. Her door, number 3B, waited at the end of the hall. Fake leather covering, crooked brass numbers, a little scratch near the bottom where she had once hit it with a box. Not beautiful, but hers. She took her keys out of her coat pocket and slid the top one toward the lock. It stopped halfway. She frowned and tried again, harder this time. The key pushed in a bit, then hit something solid. She tried the lower lock. Same thing. The keys she had used every day for years would not turn. Her heart sped up. She wiped her palm on her coat and tried again. Metal on metal, a dull stop. Someone had changed the locks. Maya stepped back and stared at the door like it belonged to someone else. She knocked, first gently, then harder. "Hello?" she called. "Open up. This is my place." For a long second, nothing happened. Then she heard the slide of a chain and the click of a lock. The door opened a few inches. A woman Maya had never seen before looked out at her. She was around 50, with tired eyes, a faded pink bathrobe, and worn slippers. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled up in a loose knot. The smell of fried food drifted out into the hallway. "Yes?" the woman said. "Why you banging on my door this late?" Maya blinked. "This is my condo," she said. "I live here. My name is Maya Brooks. My parents bought this place. Who are you?" The woman snorted. "I'm the one who pays rent to live here now," she said. "Name's Brenda Walker. Got a lease with Mrs. Sterling. Now stop shouting. People gotta sleep." Behind Brenda, Maya saw the edge of her old couch, now covered with a cheap blanket. New curtains hung where her mother's lace had been. A pot sat on the stove. Everything looked wrong, even though it was all in the right place. It was like watching a stranger move inside her life. "This has to be a mistake," Maya said. "I didn't rent this place out. I didn't sign any lease. I never agreed to anything like that." The door across the hall opened. Denise Carter, who had known Maya since she was 6, stepped out in a housecoat and slippers. Her gray curls were wrapped in a scarf. Her eyes moved from Maya to Brenda and back. "Maya, baby, what's going on out here?" Denise asked. "We heard you all the way in my living room." "I can't get into my own home," Maya said. "My keys don't work. This woman says she lives here." Denise frowned. "Maya, you told me you had some money trouble," she said slowly. "You said Julian and his mama were helping you with the paperwork. Maybe there was some kind of deal?" "Sometimes when people get behind, they sign things to protect what they can. Are you sure you didn't forget something?" "I'm not behind," Maya snapped. "I pay my bills. I didn't tell anyone to rent out my condo. I didn't forget anything." More doors opened. Mr. Price leaned on the railing upstairs. The young couple from 3A peeked out, the hallway filled with sleepy faces and quiet whispers. Before Maya could say another word, she heard footsteps on the stairs. Slow, steady. Julian appeared first, in a dark coat, his tie hanging loose. A white bandage showed near his hairline. Behind him came his mother, Evelyn, wrapped in a long wool coat, her face calm and serious. "Oh, good," Julian said, as if he were relieved. "We hoped you'd come here, Maya." His voice sounded gentle. His eyes did not. Evelyn put a hand to her chest. "Maya," she said softly, "you look worn out. You ran away from the restaurant. We've been so worried. Poor Julian has been calling everywhere, trying to find you." "What did you do to my locks?" Maya demanded. "Why is Brenda in my home? And why did the bank tell me you reported me?" Julian sighed like a tired parent. "Neighbors," he said, turning to the people in the doorways. "I'm sorry you have to see this. My wife has been under so much stress, losing her parents, running a business, some unpaid bills catching up. It's been too much." "Unpaid bills?" Denise repeated. Maya shook her head. "That's not true," she said. "I pay what I owe. I handle my life. I'm not crazy." "No one said you're crazy," Evelyn answered, still in that soft, kind voice. "But you did come to us with those letters, remember? From creditors? You sat at my table and cried. You asked us to help protect your condo so the bank couldn't take it." "I never did that," Maya said. "You're lying." Julian opened his leather briefcase and pulled out a slim folder. "That's why we went to the notary," he said, "right after work, just you and me. We signed some papers to move the condo into Mom's name, just on paper, for a while, to protect you. You said you trusted us." He unfolded a stack of papers so everyone could see. The city seal was at the top. Her address was printed in bold. Lines of legal words marched down the page. At the bottom was a blue signature, her own. For a moment, Maya's brain refused to accept it. Then a memory flashed. Her living room, a movie playing, Julian sitting beside her with a pen and a stack of papers, just boring utility forms and registration, he had said. "If you sign where I marked, I can stand in line at those offices for us." She had barely looked before signing, happy to have someone handling things. Now that same signature stared back at her like a trap. Maybe you've trusted someone like that too. Signed something without reading because you believed the person holding the pen. If this twist already shakes you a little, stay with the story and tap the like button so more people can hear it before they make the same mistake. Share a piece of your story in the comments so one small warning can still reach somebody in time. Maya did not remember how long she ran that night. She only knew that at some point her legs would not move anymore. Her chest burned. The cold air cut her throat. She turned down a side street and slid down a brick wall until she was sitting on the wet ground in a dark alley. For a while she just hugged her knees and shook. In less than one day, she had watched her life break apart. Her money was frozen. A stranger had opened the door to her condo. Her neighbors had stared at her like she was crazy. Her own name looked like a lie on those papers with Evelyn's signature. She felt small, like a piece of trash blown into a corner. When the tears finally stopped, she pulled out her phone. The screen lit up her face. Names filled the contact list. Friends, people from church, customers. For each one, she could already hear the doubt. Then she saw one name that did not belong to any old part of her life. Loretta. Gerbera daisies. A few months earlier, an older woman had called the shop to order orange flowers for a neighbor. She had given her number in case something goes wrong, baby. That woman had sat in the Lakeview room tonight and pushed money into Maya's hand and told her to run. If anyone would believe her now, it was that same woman. Maya pressed call. The phone rang twice. Hello? Loretta's voice was rough and sleepy. Miss Mills, Maya said. It's Maya. From the flower shop. There was a long pause. Then Loretta's voice came back, sharper. Maya? Thank God. Are you with him? Are you safe? I ran, Maya said. I don't know where I am exactly. Somewhere near the west side. There's a liquor store on the corner and a broken laundromat sign. Look for a street sign, Loretta said at once. Read it to me. Maya stood up, legs stiff, and walked to the mouth of the alley. A dirty green sign hung on the pole. 15th and Oak, she said. All right, Loretta answered. There's a bus stop right there. Go stand by it. Don't get in any car that isn't mine. I'm coming. You don't have to do that, Maya whispered. You don't even know me. I know enough, Loretta said. Go wait. The line clicked off. Maya walked to the corner. The bus stop was just a metal pole and a small sign. The wind cut through her coat. Every passing set of headlights made her jump. She gripped her bag like it was the last thing she owned, because it was. At last, an old blue sedan pulled up. The passenger window opened with a squeak. Loretta leaned over the wheel. She looked older than in the restaurant, but her eyes were bright. Get in, baby, she said. Quick. Maya slid into the seat. The car smelled like peppermint and something dry, like tea leaves. Loretta pulled away from the curb. For a few blocks, they drove in silence past dark shop windows and closed diners. Tell me what happened, Loretta said finally. From the moment you left that table. So Maya told her. She told her about the fire alarm, the taxi to the shop, the red words on the bank screen, the new locks on her condo, Brenda in a bathrobe, the neighbors staring, the contract with her own signature, and how Evelyn told everyone it was just a business move, to protect her from debts that did not exist. By the time she finished, Loretta's hands were tight on the wheel. They moved fast, Loretta said, faster than with my Aaliyah. They're scared now. That can make them careless. Scared of what? Maya asked. Of a florist with no house, no money, and no job? Her voice broke. Everybody thinks I'm sick or lying. What can I do? You still have something, Loretta said. You have me, and I have something they don't. What is that? Maya asked. Time, Loretta said. I've had years to watch them. Years to write things down. She turned onto a quiet street of small brick houses. Only a few windows showed light. She parked in front of a narrow two-story place with peeling paint. This is me, she said. Come on, watch your step. Inside, the hallway smelled like old wood. Loretta's apartment was on the first floor. She unlocked the door and waved Maya in. The place was small but neat. A sagging couch, 2 worn chairs, a low table, shelves with jars of dried herbs. But what Maya noticed most were the pictures. Every wall held photos of the same young woman, brown skin, bright eyes, a wide smile. In one picture, she wore a graduation gown and held a bouquet of orange Gerbera daisies. In another, she laughed with her head thrown back. That's my Aaliyah, Loretta said quietly. My daughter. She loved your shop. Maya's eyes stung. She was your customer? She asked. Oh, yes, Loretta said. She said you picked flowers like you could read minds. She'd come home with those orange daisies and say, Mama, that florist sees me. That's why I knew your face right away. Maya sat down on the couch. Her whole body felt heavy. In the little kitchen, Loretta filled a kettle. Soon the apartment smelled like mint. When she came back, she carried 2 cups and a plate with toast. Drink, she said. Eat a little. Then listen. Maya wrapped her cold hands around the warm cup. Aaliyah was all I had, Loretta began. Her daddy died when she was small. I worked and she studied. We scraped and saved until she could buy that tiny condo by the lake. She was so proud of that place. Said she was tired of moving, tired of landlords. Said, this is ours, Mama. For a moment, Loretta smiled at the memory. Then the smile faded. Then Julian showed up, she said. Same man you married, same suit, same voice. He brought her flowers and fixed things and talked about her future. I didn't like how fast it was, but she said, Mama, I'm grown, let me be happy. So I tried. She took a sip of tea. Soon after the wedding, he started talking about money, she went on. Told her he knew people at the bank. Said if she moved the condo into his name and his mama's, they could get a bigger loan and buy a real house. He brought papers from the housing office where Evelyn works. They had seals, stamps, signatures. They looked safe, so she signed. Maya thought of herself on the couch, signing without reading. Did you see the papers? She asked. Some, Loretta said. I saw the city seal and the notary stamp and thought that meant it was true. That's what they use. People like us see official paper and stop asking questions. She set her cup down. Then one day he said they were going on a boat, she said, out on the lake. Weather report said clear. Somehow, in his story, a storm came out of nowhere. By evening, he was on the shore alone, wrapped in a blanket, telling the police he tried to save her. Loretta's jaw tightened. They said my baby couldn't swim, she said. They said she panicked and slipped under. I never saw her body. Closed casket. The kind they say is for the family's sake. Maya felt tears on her cheeks again. I'm sorry, she whispered. At first, I did what folks expect, Loretta said. I cooked for him. I told him I didn't blame him. But his eyes were too dry, his story too smooth. It felt like watching a man on a stage. She leaned forward. 3 weeks later, a friend who works with listings called me, she said. She said, Loretta, isn't this your girl's address? There on the screen was Aaliyah's condo. Fresh paint, new photos, higher price. Owner's name was not Aaliyah, not me. It was him. Maya could almost see the page in her own mind. That's when I knew, Loretta said. I went down to the housing bureau, the same big gray building where Evelyn signs her papers. I made noise until they showed me the file. That was when everything truly changed. Loretta's apartment was quiet. Maya sat on the edge of the old couch, hands wrapped around an empty cup. Her hands had stopped shaking, but inside she felt hollow and sharp at the same time. So they had a file on me too, she said. You saw it? Loretta sat across from her in a worn armchair. The lamp beside her threw soft light over the lines in her face. I saw enough, Loretta said. Your name. Your condo. A contract that said you sold it. Stamps. Seals. A clean signature. Same tricks they used for my Aaliyah. Same office. Same last name. Sterling, Maya whispered. Loretta nodded. The sun pulls lonely women in, she said. The mother sits at her big desk and makes the papers say whatever she wants. Folks see her title, her smile, the city seal. They don't look any deeper. Maya stared down at her fingers. If they control the papers, how can I ever prove anything? She asked. We don't yell louder than them, Loretta said. We show what they hide. People like that keep records. They think they're untouchable. They write everything down somewhere they feel safe. At the housing bureau, Maya said. In that gray building. That's where I'd hide my sins if I were her, Loretta answered. Behind the same walls that hold the real files. Very tidy. Very respectable. Maya looked up. Then we have to go there, she said. Not to the counter. Inside. To wherever she keeps her private papers. Loretta let out a slow breath, then gave a small, grim smile. "Now you sound ready to fight back," she said. "But we can't just walk in tomorrow. They'd lock us out, or pretend to help, and wipe the trail. So we go when it's closed," Maya said. "When nobody's watching." "Except the cleaning crew," Loretta said. "And I already know their rhythm." She went to a narrow drawer by the kitchen door, took out a plain silver key, and held it up. "This is how we get in," she said. Maya frowned. "What is that?" "Your assistant's cousin is braver than she looks," Loretta said. "Girl cleans offices in that building at night. She told Tasha that Evelyn keeps a second key to her office in a gray box in the janitor's closet. One night she forgot to lock the box. She made a copy and passed it to Tasha. Tasha gave it to me and said, 'If something ever happens to Maya, somebody needs to know where it started.'" Maya stared at the key. Quiet, shy, Tasha had been watching more than she showed. "Why didn't you use it before?" Maya asked. "I'm one old woman with no proof," Loretta said. "If they caught only me in there, they'd call me a crazy mother who can't let go of her dead child. No judge would listen. But now you've seen what they did to you. You're number 8. 2 voices are harder to erase than one." Maya took the key. It was cold in her palm. "What if they catch us?" she asked. "They already took your money, your condo, and your good name on paper," Loretta said. "They took my daughter. They might try to take your life next. At this point, baby, the bigger risk is to sit still and hope they grow kind." Maya felt something shift inside her. The fear slid to the side. In its place stood a clear, hard line. "All right," she said quietly. "We go tonight." They spread an old paper map of Chicago on the kitchen table. Loretta smoothed the creases and pointed to a block downtown. "Here," she said. "Chicago Metropolitan Housing Bureau. Main entrance on the bright street, service doors in the back. The cleaners use the alley door around midnight." She traced a short path. "We take the bus, get off 2 blocks away, walk the rest. Dark clothes, 1 key, 1 phone, no big bags." "I've got an old black hoodie at the shop," Maya said. "Plain jeans, sneakers. I can grab them on the way." Loretta nodded. "Good. Tonight you're not a bride. You're a shadow." They rehearsed each step in low voices. How long to wait in the alley? Which stairwell Loretta had seen staff use when she sat in the lobby begging for updates that never came. When there was nothing left to plan, they changed. Maya put on the hoodie and jeans and tucked her hair under the hood. Loretta wore dark slacks and a black sweater, with a scarf around her head. In the hall mirror, they looked like 2 tired women going out late for medicine. Outside, the air had turned colder. They walked to the bus stop with their heads down. On the bus, Maya watched the city slide by. Storefronts, late diners, a group of teenagers laughing, whole worlds in other people's windows. "Last chance to back out," Loretta said. "If I go home with nothing," Maya answered, "they still own everything. At least this way, I have a chance." Loretta gave a short nod. "Then we see what's written," she said. They got off 2 blocks from the bureau and walked the rest of the way. The building rose in front of them like a gray block of stone. Square windows, most of them dark. Flags hung limp above the main doors. "So, this is where she rewrites people's lives," Maya whispered. "Or erases them," Loretta said. "Alley's this way." They slipped around the corner into the service lane behind the building. Trash bins lined one side. A single lamp over a metal door threw a pale circle of light on the wet concrete. Loretta tapped Maya's arm. "That's the door the cleaners use," she said. "We wait." They crouched in the shadow of a dumpster. Time stretched. Somewhere a train horn blew. At last, 2 women in green uniforms turned into the alley, laughing. One lit a cigarette. After a minute, they walked to the metal door. One swiped a card through a reader. The light turned green and the lock clicked. She opened the door and wedged it with a brick. "3rd floor's a mess tonight," the smoker grumbled as they went inside. Their voices faded. Loretta squeezed Maya's hand. "Now," she breathed. They hurried to the door and slipped through, pushing the brick back into place. The hallway inside smelled like bleach and dust. The lights were low. Far off, they heard the hum of a floor machine. "Straight," Loretta whispered. Then stairs. They moved down the corridor, trying to place their feet softly on the tiles. Closed doors slid past. Records, legal, outreach. At the end, they found a gray door marked stairs and stepped through. The stairwell echoed every step. "Slow," Loretta said. "No running." On the third floor, a small sign listed names and room numbers. Maya ran her finger down the list until she saw it. E. Sterling, Deputy Director, 312. Her stomach tightened. "This way," Loretta said. The carpet on this floor was thicker. The doors were heavier. The nameplates shone. They stopped at room 312. The brass plate read Deputy Director E. Sterling. Maya slid the copied key into the lock. "Please," she whispered. She felt the tumblers turn. A soft click broke the quiet. She opened the door just wide enough for them to slip inside and closed it again. The office was dark except for the faint glow of the city through tall windows. Maya reached toward the wall switch, but Loretta caught her wrist. "No lights," Loretta said. "Use your phone." Maya turned on her phone's flashlight. A thin beam cut across the room. A wide, dark desk. An expensive chair. Shelves lined with law books and binders. On one wall, certificates and awards. On another, a grid of framed photos of Evelyn with different officials, always smiling. "Check everywhere," Loretta said. Careful but fast. Maya started with the desk. Top drawers, pens, sticky notes, paper clips. Deeper ones, files labeled agenda, budget, staff. All neat, all clean. "No secrets here," she muttered. Loretta moved along the bookcase, reading titles: property law, municipal code, housing policy. She tugged on a few binders. "Nothing. It's all for show," she said. "The mask." Maya leaned back from the desk and let the light roam over the walls. Certificates with gold seals, a plaque for outstanding service, photos of ribbon cuttings and speeches. At first, they all blurred together. Then something small caught her eye. One photo in the center row hung just a tiny bit crooked. Most people would not notice. But Maya spent her days arranging stems, so every flower sat just right. Her eyes grabbed the flaw at once. "That one," she whispered. She lifted the frame from the bottom. It felt heavier than the others. She pulled a little harder. The frame came away from the wall with a soft click. Behind it, set into the plaster, was a small gray metal door with a round dial. A safe. Maya's heart thudded. "You were right," she said. "She keeps it close. Can you open it?" Loretta asked. Maya stared at the dial. "What numbers would she pick?" she murmured. "Not random. Something she's proud of." Her light slid over a bronze plaque beside the safe. It read, "Chicago Metropolitan Housing Bureau. Founded 1955. "She loves this place," Maya said. "If I were her, I'd use the year it began." She gripped the dial and turned. 1955. A soft, heavy click sounded inside. Maya pulled the handle. The safe door swung open. Inside sat one thick book with a plain gray cover. A ledger. Maya stared down at the gray ledger like it was a bomb. Her fingers shook as she lifted it from the safe. The book was small but heavy. The cover had no title, no name, only flat gray cloth. "This is it," Loretta whispered. "This is where she keeps the ghosts." They set the book on Evelyn's desk and opened it. The pages were lined into neat boxes. At the top of each column, tidy handwriting marked out simple words: name, address, perpetrator, status, notes. Line after line, the same sharp script filled the spaces. Dates, street names, apartment numbers. In the perpetrator column, the same two letters repeated all the way down. S.E. "Sterling, Elias," Loretta said softly. "Your husband." His name all over the place, just not where people can see. Maya read the first page. The names meant nothing to her. Leonard Brown, Monica Fields, Anthony Cole, all strangers. But the words in the status column made her skin crawl. Vanished, overdose, accident, never found. The notes column sometimes had only one short word. Realized, Maya read. "What does that mean?" "Means they sold the place," Loretta answered. "Turned somebody's home into cash, like closing a sale at your shop, only with people's lives." She turned 2 pages. The dates moved closer to the present. Halfway down the sheet, one line hit like a punch. Aaliyah Mills, studio apartment, South Shore. Perpetrator, S.E. Status, closed. Notes, boat accident, property realized. Loretta's hand gripped the desk. For a heartbeat, she didn't speak. There she is, she whispered. My girl. Reduced to one line in a book, Maya's throat closed. Her eyes burned, but anger pushed through the tears. They wrote about Aaliyah like she was a broken chair, Maya said. Problem solved, sold. She turned more pages. The years and addresses crept even closer. Then she saw her own name, Maya Brooks, 2-bedroom condo, Lakeside Drive. Perpetrator, S.E. Status, in progress. Notes, transfer complete. Final step pending. To Evelyn and Julian, she wasn't a wife. She wasn't even a person. She was in progress, like a half-finished job. Number 8, Loretta murmured. But they haven't checked you off yet. That's the crack we needed. Maya's fear tightened, then shifted into something else. No, she said quietly. I'm not number 8. I'm the one who ends this list. Her heart wouldn't quit. She pulled out her phone. The screen was cracked. The battery icon was low. But the camera still worked. Pictures, she said. Even if they burn this whole place down, they can't burn what's on my phone. She aimed at the first page and pressed the button. Click. Next page. Click. Next. Click. Her hands shook so hard that some shots blurred. She stopped, took a breath, and did those pages again. Names, addresses, dates, notes. Every line that tied Julian and Evelyn to each ruined life. Hurry, baby, Loretta said. We don't know how long we've got. I'm moving, Maya answered. Done. The office felt too quiet. By the time she reached the page with her own name, sweat stood on her forehead. She took 2 pictures of that line. Then, from out in the corridor, came a new sound. Footsteps. Not a cleaning cart, not one bored guard. Several pairs of feet, fast and heavy, coming straight toward Evelyn's door. Loretta's eyes met Maya's. They know, Loretta whispered. Safe, Maya hissed. She shoved the ledger back into the wall safe. The book slid onto the shelf. She pulled the metal door shut and grabbed the dial. The footsteps stopped right outside the office. The knob rattled. Leave it, Loretta snapped. Move away. Maya dropped her hands and stepped back just as the key scraped in the lock. The door swung open. Julian filled the doorway. He wore a black turtleneck and dark pants. The white bandage on his head looked swollen. His eyes were bright and hard. Behind him, in the hall, stood Tasha Reed and 2 big security guards. Tasha's cheeks were wet, her hands twisted together. I'm sorry, she burst out when she saw Maya. They went to my cousin's job. They said they'd fire her, charge me. I told them you might come here. I didn't think Julian shoved her aside. She hit the wall and slid down, still crying. Look at this, he said, stepping into the room. My wife, breaking into a public building. My wife, sneaking around in my mother's office. My wife, stealing records. You really are not well, Maya. Maya backed up until she felt the bookshelf. Her phone was still in her hand. That ledger has your whole business written down, she said. All the widows, all the apartments, all the fake accidents. We have it now. Julian's eyes flicked to the safe, then to her phone. You think anybody cares what some private notes say? He asked. You think a judge is going to throw away my mother's lifetime of work because a florist and a grieving old woman broke into an office? He took another step toward her. The bank thinks you're unstable, he went on. Your neighbors think you're unstable. By tomorrow, everyone else will think the same. He moved. He lunged and grabbed her wrist. Pain shot up her arm. His fingers crushed her hand until she had to let go. The phone flew from her grasp and landed on the carpet. With his other hand, he grabbed a fistful of her hair and yanked her close. You were supposed to be easy, he hissed. Sign what I gave you and enjoy the ride. You weren't supposed to run. You weren't supposed to dig. Let her go, Loretta said. Her voice was calm and flat. Julian didn't even look at her. You again, he said. You should have stayed out of this. He leaned closer to Maya. I'm going to take that phone, he whispered. Then, well, I'll pretend none of this happened. He reached toward the phone on the carpet. He never got there. Loretta already had the heavy glass water carafe in both hands. With a sharp cry, she stepped in and brought it down on the side of Julian's head. The hit sounded dull and ugly. The glass didn't break, but he staggered. His grip on Maya's hair popped open. He crumpled to the floor, clutching his head and groaning. "Run!" Loretta yelled. "Maya, go!" the guards shouted. One lunged toward Loretta. The other grabbed his radio. Maya dove for the phone, snatched it up, and bolted into the hall. Loretta rushed after her. They slammed through the stairwell door and pounded down the concrete steps. "Third floor!" Julian's rough voice roared behind them. "Stop them! Don't let them out! Block the exits!" On the first floor, they burst into the lobby. The main glass doors stood straight ahead, wrapped in a heavy chain and locked with a steel padlock. Maya grabbed the handles and pulled. The chain clanged and rattled. The doors didn't move. Outside, streetlights and passing cars looked close enough to touch. "Night lock," Loretta panted. "Of course." Boots hit the bottom of the stairwell. "This way," Loretta said. She yanked Maya toward a small door under the stairs. A sign on it read, "Janitor." The knob turned. The door opened on a narrow closet, packed with mops and buckets. "We can't hide here," Maya said. "They'll open every door." "You're not hiding forever," Loretta said. "Only long enough." Maya understood. "No," she said at once. "We both go, or we both stay." The Boots were in the lobby now. Radios crackled. A voice shouted, "They're on this floor!" Loretta grabbed Maya's shoulders. "Listen to me," she said. "They want you. They want that phone. They can make me into any story they like. Crazy mama, bitter widow, violent old woman." She shook Maya once. "But you are their bride," Loretta said. "You have proof. If they catch you, it all dies here. If they only catch me, there's still a way." Tears spilled down Maya's face. "They'll hurt you," she whispered. "They already did," Loretta said. "When they put my baby's name in that book." Voices grew louder. Loretta pushed Maya into the closet. "Tomorrow, noon," she said quickly. "Civic Center Auditorium. Evelyn's award. Mayor, police, cameras. You walk in, you say your name, you show those photos." Maya held the frame of the door. "I'm scared," she said. Loretta gave a small, sad smile. "Do it scared," she said. She pried Maya's fingers off the door and pulled it shut. Maya heard the tiny scrape of the lock turning. She twisted the knob. It did not move. "Loretta," she hissed. "Open the door." The lobby exploded with sound. "There!" a guard shouted. "Hands up!" Maya pressed her eye to a narrow crack. She saw Loretta standing on the lobby floor, her back straight. Two guards rushed toward her. Behind them, Julian limped into view, one hand pressed to his head, eyes full of hate. "Where is she?" he yelled. "Where is my wife?" Loretta stared right at him. "Far away," she said. The guards grabbed her arms. She didn't fight. As they dragged her toward a side exit, she turned her head a little, as if looking at the closet door. Then the side door slammed. The echoes faded. Silence settled over the lobby. In the dark janitor's closet, Maya sank down onto the cold floor between a bucket and a stack of paper towels. She pulled out her phone. The screen lit the narrow space. Photo after photo filled the gallery. Names, addresses, cold notes. Aaliyah, Leonard, Monica, Anthony, herself. "In progress," the ledger had said. "Not anymore," Maya whispered. Outside, the building hummed. Somewhere, a vacuum cleaner started up. Doors opened and shut. She sat on the closet floor and repeated Loretta's last words in her mind. Noon. Civic Center Auditorium. Say your name. Show the pictures. By the time a faint gray line of morning light slipped under the door, she knew one thing for sure. The Sterlings had taken almost everything from her. Tomorrow, in front of the city, she was going to take something back. Maya stayed in the janitor closet until the building woke up around her. She heard carts rolling, doors closing, people talking. When the noise sounded steady, she knocked. "Hello? This door is stuck. Can somebody open it?" Keys jingled. The lock turned. A cleaner in a green uniform stared at her. "How did you get in there?" the woman asked. "Wrong door," Maya said. "Long night." The woman shook her head and walked away. No one stopped Maya as she left the building. Outside, the air was cold and bright. Noon. Civic Center Auditorium. Say your name. Show the pictures. She found a coffee shop, bought the cheapest drink, and sat by an outlet. While her phone charged, she opened her photos. The gray ledger was there, page by page. Names, addresses, notes, accident, vanished, property realized. 8 lines with the same initials in the perpetrator column. S. E. Sterling. Elias. One line carried Aaliyah's name. Another carried her own. Maya backed up the photos to a cloud account and sent them to an old email. Then she searched on her phone. Civic Center Auditorium Housing Award, Evelyn Sterling. An article popped up. There was a picture of Evelyn shaking the mayor's hand. The event was at noon. Maya finished her drink and found a small copy shop. "I need these printed," she told the clerk, big and clear. He printed every page and slid them into 5 thin folders. On clean white paper, the black words looked like hard stones. It was no longer a secret book in a hidden safe. Outside again, she opened Loretta's contacts. One number was marked Darnell Nephew. She called. "Hello?" a man answered. "Is this Darnell Mills?" she asked. "Yes. Who is this?" His voice was tight. "My name is Maya Brooks," she said. "Your aunt tried to save me last night. The police took her. I know why. They said she attacked a man," he said. "She hit Julian Sterling," Maya answered. "The man who married Aaliyah, then me. Your sister's name is in a gray ledger in his mother's office. So are 7 other names. Today at noon, Evelyn Sterling is getting an award at the Civic Center. I'm going there with copies. I need you to come with the biggest photo of Aaliyah you have. If your aunt ever talked about other families, call them too." "Do you really have proof?" he asked. "I read it myself," Maya said. "I took the pictures. If you want people to hear Aaliyah's name for what it really is, this is the moment." He let out a long breath. "I'll be there," he said, "and I'll bring her picture." Maya hung up. It was almost 11. The Civic Center Auditorium was a stone and glass building near the park. Cars pulled up outside. People in suits and nice coats walked up the steps. Maya's hands trembled as she joined them, one folder under her arm. Inside, the hall was wide and high, with red seats and a big stage. On the stage sat a long table with name plaques. Between the mayor and the chief of police sat Evelyn. She wore a pale suit and pearls. Her smile was easy. Maya gripped the folder until her knuckles went white. A man in a dark jacket stepped to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "please take your seats." Maya did not sit. She walked straight down the center aisle. Halfway down, 2 security guards stepped in front of her. "Mom," one said quietly, "you need to find a seat." "I need 1 minute with that microphone," Maya said. "It's about the woman you're honoring." "No public comments," the other guard replied. "Please take your seat or we'll escort you out." Voices in the hall fell quiet. On the stage, Evelyn's eyes locked on Maya. For 1 heartbeat, her smile slipped, then returned. "My name is Maya Brooks," she said, loud enough for the first rows to hear. 2 weeks ago, I married Evelyn's son. Yesterday, they took my home. Today, they plan to take my name. I will not sit down." A restless sound moved through the room. "Mom," the guard warned, "this is not the time." A man in the front row stood. He wore a work jacket and held a folded program. "I know who she is," he said. "Let her talk." "Sir, sit down," the guard said. "My name is Derek Brown," the man answered, louder. "My father is Leonard Brown. 3 years ago he vanished. His condo ended up in somebody else's hands. If this woman has proof, I want to see it." The guards looked at each other, then stepped aside. Maya climbed the steps to the stage. The master of ceremonies backed away from the podium. She put the folder on the stand and took the microphone. She thought of Loretta in handcuffs, of Aaliyah's laughing face, of the word "in progress" next to her own name. "If I vanish after today," she thought, "at least they will know why." She took a breath. "My name is Maya Brooks," she said into the mic. "Yesterday, Deputy Director Evelyn Sterling and her son locked me out of my condo with a contract I never meant to sign. They froze my bank account and told my neighbors I was unstable. But I am not the first person they did this to. Evelyn jumped to her feet. "This is slander," she shouted. "She is ill. Security. Remove her now." Maya raised the printed page so the first rows could see the columns. "Before you drag me away," she said. "Look and listen." She read. Leonard Brown. Address on Maple Street. Status. Vanished. Note. Property realized. Perpetrator. S.E. Sterling Ilias. Derek's voice cracked from the front row. "That's my daddy," he shouted. "They said he just wandered off." Maya turned the page. Monica Fields, she read. Died in a car crash. Studio apartment sold 3 weeks later. Same perpetrator. A woman halfway back stood up, crying. "My sister," she said. Every stamp came from the same office. Every line told the same story. Sudden loss. A home. A transfer. The same initials in the perpetrator column. Maya reached the line that hurt most. Aaliyah Mills, she said. Studio by the lake. Status. Closed. Note. Boat accident property realized. Perpetrator, S.E. The back doors opened. Several people came in, carrying a large framed picture. They walked down the center aisle and stopped where everyone could see them. A man pulled the cloth off the frame. Aaliyah smiled out over the crowd, holding a bouquet of bright orange Gerbera daisies. Darnell stood beside the picture. "That's my sister," he called. "You remember that story, the tragic boat accident. The crying widower. Now we see her name in this ledger like she was just another good deal." All eyes turned to Evelyn. "These are stolen notes," she snapped. "That woman broke into my office. She attacked my son. She is trying to destroy years of honest work." Maya looked at the faces in the hall. "Maybe I am scared," she said. "Maybe I was foolish. But I did not write these names. I did not invent these deaths. The same pair of hands touches every line, and they lead back to one family and one office." She walked to the long table and set the folder in front of the man in uniform whose nameplate read, Chief Marcus Hill. "Chief," she said, "these are copies of every page. The photos of the original ledger are on my phone. I am handing this to you in front of the mayor, the press, and all these citizens, so it cannot disappear quietly." The mayor stood, pale. "In light of what we have just heard," he said into his mic, "I am asking the police to take Deputy Director Evelyn Sterling and Mr. Julian Sterling into custody for questioning." Now, 2 officers stepped onto the stage and went to Evelyn. She pulled back. "You can't do this," she hissed. "I run the department that signs your projects. For that reason," the mayor said, "this cannot be handled in a back room." The officers took her wrists and closed metal cuffs around them. 2 more officers moved into the front row toward Julian. He tried to slip past them, but the aisle was crowded. They grabbed his arms and snapped cuffs on his wrists. "You believe her over me?" he shouted. "Shay's unstable. She stole from us." As they pulled him toward the side doors, his eyes burned into Maya's. She met his stare and did not look away. The doors closed behind the Sterlings. Derek Brown walked to the front of the stage and looked up at Maya. "Thank you," he said. Behind him, Darnell stood with one hand on Alia's picture. The Sterlings had tried to turn real lives into quiet lines in a hidden book. Today, those lines had stepped out into the light and spoken back. The police did not let Maya go home that same day. They took her to the station first. She sat in a small gray room with a cup of cold coffee, while detectives went through the printed pages again and again. They asked the same questions in different ways. "Where did you see this ledger? Who else was there? How did you get that key?" Maya told them everything. She did not leave Loretta out. She told them about the restaurant, the warning, the bank accounts, the changed locks, the hidden safe, the janitor closet, and the way Loretta had picked up the heavy glass and swung without fear. One of the detectives rubbed his face with his hand. "We've had complaints about property deals before," he said, "but there was never anything solid. This isn't just a complaint, this is a pattern." By the time they let Maya leave the station, the sun was low over Chicago. Loretta was still in holding, waiting for the same detectives. Maya took the bus across town and walked slowly to her flower shop. The sign Maya's Flowers still hung over the door. Someone had taped a notice to the glass that said the shop was closed until further notice. Inside, the air was stale, and the flowers that were left had wilted. For the next few hours, she worked in silence. She threw away dead stems and washed buckets. She scrubbed the counter and the floor. She opened the back door to let in the cold air. When she was done, the shop smelled like soap and clean water instead of fear. Her phone buzzed. It was a number from the police station. "Miss Brooks," a voice said. "This is Officer Hayes. I thought you should know. We're releasing Miss Loretta Mills. All charges are dropped. The district attorney has opened a case on the Sterlings instead." Maya closed her eyes. "Thank you," she said. "Please tell her I'm glad she's free." A week later, she stood again in front of the door to her condo. The fake leather was still scuffed, the brass numbers still crooked, but the locks were new, and this time the keys in her hand were hers alone. The court had frozen the Sterlings' accounts and canceled every deal that came from Evelyn's office in the last few years. "What they stole doesn't stay with them," the judge had said. "Not this time." Maya turned the key. The door opened. The air inside smelled wrong, like cheap cooking oil and spray cleaner. The rooms were crowded with things the renter had left behind in a hurry. Maya opened every window she could. Cold lake air rushed in. She tied her hair back, turned on some soft music, and began. She stacked the renter's things in boxes. She wiped down the counters. She pulled off the curtains and shook the dust out. The work was hard, but each sweep of the cloth felt like a small act of taking herself back. Her last trip that day was to the shop. She chose tall white lilies, gentle baby's breath, and long stems of eucalyptus that smelled sharp and clean. She carried them home in her arms like a shield. At her small kitchen table, she trimmed the stems and set the flowers in every room of the condo. By the time she was done, the place looked like itself again. Soft light, green leaves, white petals. A quiet room that still held the memory of her parents but no longer carried the shadow of the Sterlings. Maya sat on the couch with a blanket around her shoulders and finally let herself breathe. The names in the gray ledger were no longer secrets. Aaliyah was no longer just boat accident, property realized. She was a daughter and a sister. Leonard Brown was no longer vanished. He was a father whose son could finally say the word truth without feeling crazy. And Maya herself was no longer in progress on someone else's list. She was a woman with a front door, a bank account that would be hers again, and a small shop full of flowers waiting to be arranged. I walked out of that auditorium with my hands still shaking, and even now, when I think about that day, my chest feels tight. But mixed in with the fear, there is something else. A quiet kind of pride. Here is the hard truth I learned, and maybe it is one you need to hear too. Sometimes the people who smile the sweetest and speak the softest are the ones holding the pen over your life. Sometimes the most dangerous place a woman can be is at a table where she is not reading what she signs. And sometimes the only way to break the trap is to speak up in the very room where you are most afraid. If you are listening to my story and you feel stuck in something that doesn't feel right, remember this. You are not crazy just because other people say you are. You are not wrong just because the person hurting you wears a suit or has a title. And you are not powerless, even when they make you feel small. You may not have a microphone in a big hall, but you still have a voice. You still have the right to ask, "Can I see that paper again? And why are we doing it this way?" You still have the right to walk away from a table, even if everyone else tells you to sit back down. If this story touched you, or made you think of someone you love, don't just click away and forget it. Leave a comment and tell me what part hit you the hardest, or what you would have done in Maya's place. Your words might be the thing that helps someone else feel less alone. And if you enjoy real-life style stories like this about trust, betrayal, courage, and second chances, then stay with us. Tap the subscribe button so you don't miss the next story. Hit the like button if this one meant something to you, and share it with a friend who might need strength today. When this video ends, you'll see other stories pop up on your screen. Think of them as open doors. Pick one, click on it, and come continue this journey with me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to the end, and take care of your heart until we meet again in the next story, my friend.